And welcome back to another episode of Real As It Gets. Gordo.
How you doing, Trevor?
We are on what, episode 6?
We're at episode 6. We made it 6 episodes.
And we decided to...
We had an amazing guest last episode.
Oh, we did.
So well received.
We did. Claire was a hit. And I've decided to keep living my dad era of sweater and hat. I think it's a good look.
I thought you were camping.
Well, March break is coming up. Maybe we'll go camping. I don't know. But today, we decided to really elevate and put our thoughts on paper.
We did.
So that
we had a lot of thoughts.
We have a lot of thoughts that run through the old noggins here. And maybe the pricing one was, I kind of went on a couple rants. But I think today we're a little more structured, let's say.
A little more organized.
A little more organized. And we're learning.
We are. We're learning every episode we go. We are trying to get better and improve. As it's kind of your motto. You alluded to the Blue Jays, get better every day, right? And so,
be better.
Be better.
Yeah. And I think we're doing that today. So we decided to make this one specifically about the biggest mistakes that buyers are doing today.
So they can avoid making these mistakes.
And we're going to help you avoid making these mistakes. So what do you want to talk about first?
Well, let's talk about number one, the biggest. And if this was, we were doing this for SEO, we'd be, and number one's going to be at the very end. Stay tuned, like, and subscribe.
Yeah.
But we're not going to do that.
You got to watch. And they'll be like, I don't really want to.
Yeah, no, tune out. All right, so number one, the biggest mistake buyers make is not getting pre-approved.
Is that what we agreed to? Because
That's what we agreed to.
I do see we wrote that down, yes. And we kind of alluded to that in, I think, episode 3, where we really went into detail, but specifically the difference between, pre-approval and pre-qualified and emotional shopping versus financial shopping. We talked about emotion on the last one with pricing and avoiding that, doomsday scenario of the buyer's so excited and loves his home and then finds out, damn, we really can't afford it.
Well, during the conditional period, they put an offer in, and then I had one recently that I showed the property. It had just sold the night before, and it was sold on conditional on financing. 2 weeks later, it's still sold conditional. Phone the agent, no, it's coming back on the market. The buyer couldn't get financing.
What a waste of time for everybody,
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but it's not that I asked to see a pre-approval letter or anything like that, but I think you get a pretty good sense of if they have been pre-approved or not pre-approved. Now, I more work within my sphere anyways.
Correct.
It's a lot more referral based, and so I know these people and I know they're credible and whatnot. And I'm not saying other people aren't credible, but
it happens. We've seen it.
But what a waste of time for everyone themselves. Like, that sucks, right?
Yeah.
And you can avoid that by just doing it at the beginning. So that's mistake number 1.
Yeah. Well, some people I think will go online and try to do it themselves rather than speaking with a mortgage professional, thinking that they're approved, but not taking into account perhaps their entire debt ratio. And
when I say terms of NOA and T4, and they're like, what's that? I'm like, oh man, they've not been pre-approved.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I get it. Maybe they don't know notice of assessment, like when people say HELOC, but I think everybody knows what an NOA is, right? Or am I wrong in saying that? We'll find out. Put it in the comments. Whoa, we've never asked that. Put it in the comments if you know what an NOA
there you go.
is.
All
now
right.
We're trending.
Number 2.
Buying based only on your monthly payment.
Right. So if you're looking at, a pre-approval and looking at a monthly payment, you're not renting. There's other expenses involved when you own a house. Things come up, repairs, maintenance.
Well, even just carrying costs.
Carrying costs, very important to understand.
Property tax,
budget.
groceries, gas, utilities, cell phone, cable, internet, going out for dinner, going on vacation. Am I going to have to eat craft dinner for the next 2 years if I buy this house? Nobody wants that, right?
It's very important to understand lifestyle and factor that into when you're purchasing.
100%. And it's funny, I actually had this similar kind of conversation in the story before in that they said, hey, we got pre-approved for 1.4. This is what I like to. People are now educated.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor, we got pre-approved for 1.4, but we really want to keep it at 1.1, max 1.2 because of da-da-da-da-da-da. And I love hearing that because it's just they actually understand because you don't house poor, right? We've all heard that. Mm-hmm. You don't want to be house poor. So do your due diligence before.
And do your own budgeting. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Number 3, what did we write down here? We wrote changing finances before closing. Oh, we
So-
put buying a car, switching jobs, new credit cards. You want to?
Once you've purchased the house and you've set your budget, don't change the budget in between the time that you purchased it and the time that it closes. Like, make sure that you're not overextending yourself.
And taking on new debt.
And taking on new debt, because that could also affect the closing. The bank may look at it. So, when you applied for the mortgage, your debt ratio was this. All of a sudden, now you've got an extra $80,000 or 60 or whatever it is for a car, and that's going to change. You may not get approved.
Even changing jobs too, right? I've had a story
and jeopardize the closing.
They had a new job, but they were still in the probational period, and maybe if they hadn't said anything, I'm not saying don't do that, but I'm saying if they hadn't said anything, it probably would have been fine. But they told them they switched jobs, and then it was just like,
yeah.
And then the probation, and that skewed the numbers. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
So if you are looking to buy, have all your T's and crossed and I's dotted, so that there's no little
hiccups
that come out of nowhere, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's pretty much the financing option, which we did go into a lot of that episode 3. If you haven't seen that one, we actually probably go into more detail in general. But then we have the emotion, which I think is huge. And we kind of skewed over it a little bit here, but falling in love too fast is what we both wrote. And then we said, maybe overpaying, or we said, how can we protect them from not just falling in love and not thinking, I don't want to say logically, but, financially as well. You want to kind of go into detail on this one?
Yeah, for sure. So sometimes, falling in love too quickly, a house could be maybe, I'm just thinking about homes that I've seen before that have been flipped. So, you come into a house, looks all renovated, it looks just beautiful. I love it. The kitchen's amazing. Let's get it. And then you start looking a little bit more in detail. The workmanship,
DIY,
the workmanship maybe isn't as, first appeared to be. One of the telltale signs I find, you look in the garage or in the basement, there's all kinds of tools, and you can tell, like, the homeowner's the one that did the renovation. Not that,
some homeowners are really,
some are good at it and can, but some maybe they're cutting a few cutting a few corners. So you've got to really be careful, and just make sure you look deeply at if it's a renovated house, what's been done and how well it's been done, because you could be spending money after the fact to fix things that weren't done correctly.
And it's so easy.
And building permits, all kinds of
it's so easy to get caught up to in the wow factor of, oh wow, look at these white oak floors and these marble backsplash with countertops, and they took out this wall. Maybe they we know if they have permits or not, and the gas fireplace and all the pot lights, and it's painted simply white, and they've done all the bathrooms, and it's this open concept layout that we've always wanted. That also goes into, can we afford these things too?
Right.
And or is it done right? And I personally, I don't know about you, I love, even if you're not handy, but walking into a home that has the laminate countertops, it has the pink and blue walls, it has maybe some old vinyl flooring. That's where you make your ROI too, right? And you get a way better bang for your buck. You get to pick and make it your own. You're not paying that premium and letting just the emotional love dictate the process.
That's right. Yeah,
right?
You can make it your own. But you also, if you're doing something like that, you have to make sure. And it's like another point, like making a mistake, thinking, I'll just make a renovation. I'll just change the floors. I'll just do this. It's a can of worms. You find, I want to change the floors. Well, what about the baseboards? You should do that too. Well, if you're going to do the baseboards, what about the door trim? Yeah, what about the doors? What about the door hardware?
The doors don't fit anymore.
Yeah, and it goes on and on and on, right? So that's another mistake you have to be just like realistic about if you're going to buy a house and do a renovation to it.
Yeah.
Because it can be very expensive.
So then we wrote, ignoring market conditions, Gord, and understanding, marketing strategies, where the market is, advice that maybe no longer applies, certain headlines in the media versus what's really happening.
I find the media lags behind what's happening in the market. So if we typically get our stats about a month late, right? Like,
I don't even want to get started on the media because I feel like everything is fear mongering right now, and let's clickbait news, negativity sells versus what's happening, right? And we talked about this, I think, endlessly. Of 2025 wasn't that bad from a real estate market of the product that did move, the serious buyers, the serious sellers, right? But that's again the more the media headline here of what I'm talking about. But in regards to ignoring market conditions, like how do we deep dive into exactly what we're trying to say here without, I don't want to, because I think this one's important.
Well, I think, some of the news could be, the market's really down. It's really, really slow. So a buyer may think, hey, I'm going to get an amazing deal on this house. I'm going to go in at a super low offer and put in a price that doesn't make sense and then get rejected, either no sign back or sign back at full ask. And then what's step two? What do you do after that? So I think that's really where you can make a mistake, because if you do something like that, you may get the sellers back up a little bit, and then they might be a little bit less reluctant to negotiate with you, where you've come in on like a more fair price to start with, where you probably have a better chance of getting a better discount off the list price than if you come in unrealistically low.
That's a great point, and like being misled by just what's on the news solely,
right?
Where then I'm going to just wait because I don't think it's hit the bottom and things are going to just get worse. And then you're missing some really good opportunities that are right there for you. And instead of taking advantage of it, you're just like, everything is bad. I'm just going to treat it as bad. And then to your point too, of like, you're actually getting a good deal here, but I want it more or less, or I want it for less.
Right.
And I want to keep pushing and whatever. And meanwhile, if you look at the delta, like we talked about 10 years from now and everything, and what your actual plan is and what you want to do with this, maybe this is the forever home, right?
Right.
You're going to be in it for 25 years. We talked about it last episode. 25, we said low end 20% from peak down.
Yeah.
Maybe closer to 25%.
Yeah. You're still, and if you find the right house, it might not come up again.
Ever.
Yeah, ever. Or
Literally.
In 20 years from now.
We were talking about a property that someone just bought, right? And we knew them. And it was on the ocean. It was a corner lot, and it was a ranch-style bungalow. And that specific property probably would never ever come up again, specifically on that street.
Yeah, that would have probably been a generational kind of a sale. So yeah.
And if you're letting certain things misguide you or mislead you, and just not knowing all the facts, it can really screw things up.
Correct. Absolutely.
Waiving conditions without understanding risk. This is a good one, Gord. And I feel like, unfortunately, with how crazy things got pretty much from like 2019, 2020, where did it start, you think?
Yeah.
Because even pre-COVID, it was pretty wild.
Yeah.
Into then 2022, it was like, what's a financing condition? What's a home inspection? I'm just going to buy this lemon, and because I want to buy real estate, right? And it wasn't even their fault. It was just that was what we were used to. So now, full circle, 2026, I feel like we get to do our jobs. I've always thought, no matter what, the standard should be just like you and I as a realtor and the homeowner have to provide a home inspection for every single house. Like, why is that? Who's that hurting if every single person had to do that? It's just a standard. It's like, you're buying a used car, you get the Carfax, or whatever it is. Has it ever been an accident?
Well, if you buy a used car, it's got to get certified to go on the road.
It's the same thing here. Is like it should just be a standard level of care that you get a home inspection report with every single home, and then it eliminates it. But anyways, that's a different topic. But understand the risk of removing your home inspection, removing the financing condition, removing status certificate, putting in conditions of buyer needs to sell their own home, escapement clause, etc. This is a good one. I think we should really dive in here. You want to start it out, or?
Well, I think we should continue on and perhaps like dive in deeper to that on another episode, because I think we could spend 20 or 30 minutes talking about clauses, especially like sale of buyer's property, and like the risk of taking that off, the risk of accepting an offer with it on. So it's a whole topic on its own.
From a high overview standpoint, then, of mistakes that buyers necessarily make.
So removing a financing condition before the bank has given you the full go-ahead, yep, you're good to go, fully approved for this particular property. The bank needs to look at the property. So sometimes they need to appraise it. A mistake too could be waiving a home inspection condition where instead of maybe bringing in a home inspector, they brought in their friend or a contractor that's not a home inspector and they missed something. And you find out after the fact that there's a problem with the house and you waive the condition, you have no recourse to go back to them.
Yeah. And for those two examples, I think financing as well, you could play devil's advocate in that mistake one was you didn't get pre-approved, and now you have to put in the financing condition, which maybe if you had done your due diligence and were in a really good financial situation where you remove it,
and you could have a better chance of getting a better lower price on the offer.
A lower price and a better offer, so that's another mistake. And then the home inspection of not including it, and then you find structural issues, you find maybe mold in the attic, you find that there's been ongoing, elevation and whatnot, depending on where you're buying and what have you. But
leaky basement,
like the standard. But you weren't anticipating those costs, and you spent, at your max, let's say, and now you have to fix these things, and it makes your life stressful and whatnot too. Right. So having that peace of mind of understanding the difference of, is this too big of an educated risk to take on something like this, that if I remove this, is this going to make our life very stressful? Or am I okay with maybe the unknown because we've built in a contingency plan and whatnot?
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Forgetting closing costs. So land transfer tax, legal fees, adjustments, moving expenses, and we should even include if you're doing insured mortgages versus uninsured.
Right. But it all comes back to being pre-approved, really. And doing your budgeting and understanding what the costs are up front. And that's having just simple conversation. Hey, what are the costs? Like, I'm buying a house. What other costs am I going to have? Oh, land transfer. Oh, what's that? Does the seller pay that? No, the buyer pays. How much is it? And you just go online and use the land transfer tax calculator, and you can see. And it's a lot of money.
And it's out of pocket.
It's out of pocket.
And
it's after tax income out of pocket.
I've been doing this for 12 years, Gord. And, everything is, you're learning through mistakes, and I'm okay saying this, but my first ever transaction that I ever sold was a condo. And I knew the stats given went up, but the lender or mortgage broker never talked about land transfer tax. Neither did I. I don't know whose responsibility. I think it is ours to mention these things. And when it came up, my buyers had not taken that into account. Wow. And they made it work, but that was a learning experience too of, one, on me to always mention that so that the people are educated. And two, you have to take these things into account because if you're buying in Toronto, you have municipal and provincial.
That's right. It's double.
And this one was in Toronto.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So that mistake will never happen again in that, again, there was two people probably at fault, probably three in general. They, you also have to understand your own finances and whatnot. But planning those costs into your budget, they aren't huge, but they could really move the needle one way or the other.
Yeah, but if you saved up X amount of dollars, all that money is not going towards your down payment. You have to take some of that out for the land transfer tax and for legal fees and for moving expenses. Then perhaps you wanted, you might need new furniture, or maybe you have to paint the house, or make some modifications to 100%. It. Or, yeah, so
and those are cash expenses. Cash. You can put it on credit if you want, like the
line of credit.
Yeah, but you need that money to close.
So again, it circles back to budgeting, right? Like, you've got to be aware of what you've got and how much you can afford.
100%. Trying to win instead of buying smart. So we wrote down ego, bidding wars, getting caught up in them. Probably not as common right now, but it happens. And then, what is it? Buyer's remorse.
Buyer's remorse. The next day, waking up. What did I do?
Hey, Gord, why did you let me do this? No.
I always tell people, like, if you're thinking about buying a house and you're not under pressure, like it's not going to sell today, pretend you bought it. Go to sleep. Wake up in the morning and see how you feel. Like, hey, we own this house. Sleep on it. And if you're not sure, don't do it. Like, it doesn't come with a receipt. Right? You can't take it back. If you buy a house and you're not sure, and once you've done it, you've done it. You own it.
Too. When you walk in the door. A client of mine, I was just showing properties, and I don't know, I'd say on average, I probably show like if I look back, I'd say 20 homes, let's say, per buyer, let's say. And I think that's important because they have to see.
They start to understand value once they've been in a few, and they understand what they want and what they don't want.
And they sometimes need to experience losing on one,
right?
Because then it puts it in perspective. When the next one comes, they're ready. And this buyer I'm working with, it was perfect. This is a good segue in that they were walking through. We had done a handful of showings, and they're like, Trev, we haven't walked in and just felt like, this is the one. And then we saw one like 3 days later. And the husband looked at me and he just gave this smirk and he's like, "This is the one." And it was, you know,
yeah, you know,
right?
And that's the emotional side of it, right? Like that house might have 3 bedrooms, 1 kitchen, a powder room, and a finished basement, like all the other ones did. But this one just spoke to them for whatever reason, right?
And I think saying that for today's market is fine. In that, take your time. There is a lot to choose from. Do not let what my friend's house, my friends just bought this house. Oh, why can't I have this house? Don't let ego get in the way.
Because they're all different too.
They're all different, right?
Yeah.
And spend within your means and just stick to your budget.
Yep.
Budget.
Yep.
What do we write next here? We have forgetting resale value. Busy roads, poor layouts, location. I love bringing this up. If anyone's worked with me, they've heard me say like this will be a bad investment down the road, potentially from a resale standpoint because of X, Y, Z.
Right. If it's taken a long time to sell in a normal market because of X, Y, Z, there's a stigma or something that's unique in a negative fashion about the house. It's always going to have that.
Always.
Right. And so you have to think, what's it going to be like to sell this house? And that kind of goes to your point to look at more, wait and see, there's always more.
Have you exhausted all opportunities to the point where now you feel like you have to settle? But even like, why are we settling here when, again, it is our job too, to be like, don't worry, let us hold your hand and take you on this journey. There will be another property.
Right. There's always more. I always like.
But if some people, at least if we're talking about these things and you've taught like, hey, you're on a main street, I got 3 kids, I don't care if you get hit by a car. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But you know what I mean? Like if you've had these conversations and they don't care, and it is a good opportunity that maybe that is the situation where it's the only opportunity for them to get their foot in the door into real estate. Fine, right? But it's understanding those things.
Understand the risk.
The risk of, it might not appreciate the same as everybody else, right? And this will always have that stigma, let's call it.
And the last one, not thinking 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead. So with clients, I find, especially with first-time buyers, I love asking them, like, what are your plans? Like, you're going to have kids? Are you going to, or if it's like, a couple downsizing or kids, are they going to go to university? What's happening? And, think how the house is going to maybe transition with the family, and is it going to work for them now and in 5 years, or are they going to outgrow it? Is it something, because it's expensive to sell a house and it's expensive to buy a house, and if you can buy one that perhaps is going to last you a little bit longer and you can grow with it, you're going to do a lot better, I think, and not having to like move twice, pay land transfer tax twice, and all the extra expenses that come along with it.
And I feel like this is a really good finishing one that brings it full circle, in that if you had done your due diligence, you had planned, you had budgeted, you had got pre-approved, and you really understood your finances, you buying that forever home that, it might be a little stressful today, but we're all, as we get older, our income should be increasing.
Right.
Maybe you're not paying daycare anymore, you're out of diapers. Costs change.
You're out of diapers and into hockey, and it gets way more expensive.
And I don't know, but different costs, Gord, different stresses for sure. But I think if you look back at everybody, we actually just did this. I called some of my clients and just asked, the difference in 5 years and when they had bought it. I think I even said to Claire, when we bought our first home, we bought 3 now. Danielle's cried, not cried, but she cried definitely at the big one. From a finance standpoint, like, can we afford this? And you're
it's
stressed
stressful.
And you're
it's
scared,
stressful.
and you just put all this money in, right?
It's a huge number. Even if you're buying a condo now, it's a huge number. You think,
right?
And $500,000 on a condo.
Everybody goes through that exact emotional moment. But then you go to them like 2-3 years later, and it just becomes part of the routine
That's
because
right.
they had done their due diligence. They've budgeted and whatnot, and it's stressful. But now they can afford that house.
Mm-hmm.
Life's easy in a
Mm-hmm.
way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they did their plan of understanding everything that goes into that home.
That's right. And I find even the price that they purchased it for kind of fades a little bit. So if it was like, they got it for 1.246, something like that. Like, what did you guys pay for it again? It was 1.2 or something, I think. It's like that, it sort of rounds out because they become more comfortable with it and more used to living there. And
to a certain degree, right, Gord? It's a lot harder conversation when the price has gotten a little lower than what they paid. Those 22 numbers, 2022 numbers are coming up.
Yeah. Well, and luckily, I think for everybody, the market's more affordable now. So, as we talked about professionals,
on sale. And it's good for everybody across the board. I'm sorry, I really do believe that. You're upsizing, great. You could take a little bit, but you're getting to a bigger product. You're downsizing. Yeah, you're not selling as much as you were, but you're going to downsize into a product that's also on sale.
That's
and
right.
You get more stability with parking your money places.
Yeah.
So there's opportunity everywhere, and I don't know. I think I think us laying this out here was nice. I'm curious how it's going to look. How it's going to
translate. Yeah, well, because other episodes we've talked, planned out what we're going to do, but we had a little bit more of a concrete plan this time. So it's I think it was really good,
more structured and flow and. Because I think it's really easy, right? We want to say so many things.
And we're also trying to keep it within like a reasonable time frame.
If you're not bored of listening to us.
Yeah. Well, the next episode is only an hour and 60 minutes or an hour and 90 minutes or whatever. 2 hours and 30 minutes. I can't even think.
Remember when you told me you were going to have me dying laughter last episode with a dad joke? I bet you forgot a dad joke.
I got a dad joke for you.
Oh, you got a dad joke for me?
You got one for me?
Oh, goodness. I actually sent out an e-newsletter that had... I put 2 in there, and I don't want to butcher, but you tell me while I'm looking.
So there's a realtor. He's on his deathbed, and they come up to him and say, the family comes up, do you have any regrets? He's, I have 2 regrets. He's, first, all the times I screwed up, and naming my dog up.
Oh, that one's not clean like you usually.
It's not. It's a little off color.
It's great. I love that. That's more the Whopper. Didn't wrap my Whopper there, Gord.
There you go. What have you got?
Damn. I can't think of one right now.
You got to bring one next week then. Maybe we'll trade jokes.
Trade jokes. I've got some very right now going through my head is some very inappropriate R-rated. So we're gonna maybe keep it to just yours today, which already told them, I think. But Gordo,
great job.
Great job, buddy.
Great job, Trev.
See ya.